Okay, hi there. Oh, let me take this off. It's Eric and Eliza for another episode of I Hate Pot. It's not going to stay there by itself, Eric. You have to, and I'm driving, so you have to, thank you. Another episode of another segment of I Hate Pot. So I have with me a guest today named Eric Roberts, my husband. And I also have on no makeup. I was definitely going to be putting on a little bit of mascara.
Her husband, a pothead.
A pothead. Okay, so I was just explaining to Eric that the worst drug he ever could have started using is marijuana. Because...
No, this conversation started this morning like this.
Yeah.
We're talking about something being a certain color. And
louder.
We're talking about something being a certain color, and I said it's blue, and she said no, it's green, or it's green, no, it's blue, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I've always had problems with being colorblind. And she goes, yeah, it's your colorblind, your dementia. And I said, no, but I've had it all my life. And she said, that's even worse. And so she started to badmouth pot again. I said, I was colorblind before I smoked pot, blah, blah, blah. So that's...
Right, okay,
that's
good. You remembered that perfectly. What I was saying is that one of the earmarks of genuine Alzheimer's, the kind that has it in your 60s onset, is colorblindness. Eric is colorblind. So what I was saying is, if he had tendencies towards severe memory and functioning problems early, the drug he did not need was cannabis, which there is cannabis induced with the right kind of level of usage, as in the wrong level of usage. There is cannabis induced dementia. And, okay, so Eric said he wanted to be a guest, and he has good and bad things to say about marijuana. And as you know, the show's called I Hate Pot, so I welcome extolling the virtues. First, let me just say that I now have heard a story of another dear friend who's now in therapy for severe mood swings, to the point of being kind of assaultive at times.
Is it a man or a woman?
Man. Tantrums. So people who are attracted to marijuana often start using it because they want to be calm and even. Anxiety, I understand. Calm and even. But what happens is you suspend your own natural, and believe me, things that are man-made to me are natural because it comes from our brain and we invent this great stuff, but our own innate abilities to cope with anxiety and to stay even. So instead, we use this crutch. Next thing you know, we're completely dependent and then enslaved. And what it does is it digs even further grooves into the difference in mood, so that we have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. We have almost variant personalities. You hear it over and over and over again. And it's a big strain on the person who's with that person, because that person doesn't know it, because they're just going to go smoke a joint or inhale a vape or do whatever it is you guys do. Anyway, Eric, you should talk. What do you have to
about
say?
Pot? What do you want to know?
I want to. You want to be Q&A, or can you just say things?
Q&A is better for me.
Well, we were just about to say something. Say it.
Well, everybody starts smoking pot basically because of anxiety. You have anxiety, and that you're very weary of certain situations, certain contacts, certain environments. And when you smoke pot, you don't have that, and you find that it's the way you want to be.
So it's award season right now. We're going to a lot of these. We're fortunate enough to be invited to a lot of these screenings and parties and gatherings afterwards by the filmmakers and so forth. And you can tell that a lot of people want to be there, and a lot of people don't want to be there, because this whole thing of social phobias is pretty much epidemic. I mean, sort of like everyone would rather be, taking a bubble bath and at home in their pajamas, or working for something like helping people who don't have homes to be in and don't have pajamas to get their homes in their pajamas. But instead we're at these things. Now, do you find that if you're a little stoned, you have an easier time at those things, Eric? Is that what you're saying?
It all depends on what thing are those things. It depends on the people, depends on the place, depends on the environment, depends on everything.
Okay.
So the best way to go is not stoned, and to bring your vaporizer, so if you have time and the place, you can get stoned.
Right.
Like everybody else is having a drink, and you like step out and have a little vape while everybody else is having a cigarette, whatever.
Right. Well, almost nobody has a cigarette anymore. We know that alcohol and cigarettes are drugs and also should not be here. I mean, we know this already.
But I'm just saying, as far as the time involved. It doesn't become your evening in just a moment.
Right. Okay.
And
if you were to
have no anxiety.
Okay, you have no anxiety. Okay, and later, to maintain that anxiety-free state.
Well, then you go to heroin. Then you go to opium.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
No.
Oh, are you kidding?
I don't do that crap.
No, I understand, but there's microdosing now. I mean, you understand that, and there's also bottle meds.
That's not what we're talking about, because that's not anything that's ever occurred to me to go do.
Not you, but except for years and years of benzos, which of course it's decades and decades ago.
But I didn't know, though. I didn't know any better.
Right,
Had
I understand.
known better, I'd have addressed it properly.
Yeah, for a long time you knew better and couldn't, because these are dependencies.
No, I knew better, I thought, but I didn't really buy it. It was like, come on.
Yeah, smoking like an addict.
Smoking like an addict, yeah.
Okay.
No.
But you're much more approachable now. It's talk to your addict.
You're not wrong about any of it. It's just that there are other points of view that are just as adequate.
What's the fear? So what do you think about the fact that it seems to me that you suffer much greater anxiety than you would had you never begun to be dependent on something to treat this anxiety?
Well, you never knew me when I wasn't a pothead, Eliza.
Okay, that is true. You had periods where you're not, and you're right, you're not really, you don't give yourself a chance to get all the way there. If there is a place, I'm concerned about this dementia. I'm concerned about where are we going again? I'm concerned about the functionality. I'm concerned about the fact that
who are you?
Yeah, I know. I'm concerned about the fact that it becomes the primary goal of the day. Not with you necessarily, but a lot of people who are potheads. That's the goal of the day. They're willing to sacrifice.
Is what? What's the goal of the day?
Just to dose. Things are built around the dosing, and that structure robs all the resources of everything around it.
Well,
that happens.
That's true of any addict who's addicted to anything.
Yeah, but we're now marketing this thing, the world, as something
it's not legal. It's not
great, safe, good for everybody. I mean, nobody's talking about this.
I don't think we're marketing it as great or safe. I think we're marketing it as legal and nice.
Yeah, that's a really bad idea. That's what I'm saying, because it's an invitation. It's a denial of the truth. It's a liable mission, big time. Nobody's saying what the downside is, and it is a gigantic downside, because if there is stuff that you are anxious about, you will avoid it beyond avoid it. You'll make up excuses. You have all these reasons. I'm a consultant on some of these shows that are challenging shows for very talented people to do, and I'm finding that the people.
The Voice.
I absolutely not. Other shows that absolutely cannot be named, what I'm finding is that people who absolutely have the gift, but marijuana is a very regular part of their life, they are dropping out, saying no, making up all kinds of excuses, minimizing their lives to such a degree that it's like a field of weed instead of a field of vegetables, instead of a field of flowers, instead of a forest of trees. It's just junk. Okay, so anything else you want to say? Because we're going to wrap up this episode and go to a wardrobe fitting. Go ahead, Eric.
Wardrobe fitting?
Anything else you want to say, honey? To be continued, of course, but yes.
Pot has its negatives. Pot has its positives.
Yeah, it took years for you to be able to say that it had its negatives, and I'm proud of that. And I want to hear about the positives, because I'm going to see what my response is. I may have some insightful answers, or maybe it's just going to be, useless. We'll see. Okay, so in the meantime, Eric, you can click us off. It's that little red thing. I can't.
Okay. Peace out.
Yeah, but you can't touch the screen. You have to use the cursor.
Oh.
And put the arrow there. See, if that was a new marijuana device, you'd have it aced.